Hey, Bougie Gang, what's going on? Happy Wednesday. What's going on, guys? What's everybody eating for lunch, or is it still too early? It's 11:45, so somebody may have lunch. Okay, I'm hungry, actually, but we gonna make it through this without a snack. Okay. Y'all, we have some interesting stories to talk about today. Can't believe you made it on time? I can. Where there's a will, there's a way, okay? Okay. Hi, KKR. What's up? Nesto's Handy Girl. What's going on? And guess what? You're also a game star today, too. Not only did you make it, but girl, you got here super duper on time. Okay? Super duper on time. Hey, lady. I have my cozy on my cup, courtesy of a beautiful bougie ganger. Gang. Thank you. Okay. I have my cup is very cozy. Okay. Courtesy of one of y'all out there who gave me something I didn't even know I needed. Isn't that sweet? That's what friends do. Like friends and family, when they like identify a need and they're just like, you know what, you might actually like this. And then I realized I didn't even know I needed that. I didn't even know I needed that. So yeah. Eating fruit while working and sitting by by the water. How nice is that? What a treat. How beautiful. Hi, everyone. Okay, guys, let's get into it because this has turned into somewhat of a hot topic. And it happened right here in my own backyard, which is very sad to say and quite alarming. I've taken the links. I think I've taken the links twice. I when I moved here, we didn't have the links. Since I've lived here, they voted on the links, they funded the links, they created the links. The links is our train system, which doesn't really do a whole lot. It goes from one part of town to another. It's supposed to eventually one day we'll have a link that goes from uptown to the airport and stop in between. It doesn't do it yet. But it goes to the university. So if you know University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, it does what it needs to do. If you are in university or you are in South Charlotte and you want to get uptown, you want to go see a game, it doesn't run east to west, but it semi runs north south. Okay. And it runs through uptown, which is what we call our downtown. Anyway, the young lady was riding the links. She got on the links, and you guys have seen the video. I mean, you guys have had to have seen this because it's all over the place. I feel like, and I could be wrong, so this is just my opinion. There's two conflicting stories right now where the government can feel like they're getting a win, and the win story is the light rail story versus the story where they had someone in their custody who is hitting a major talking point, which is ICE. You guys let this person go, did not put a detainer on them, and subsequently somebody was killed. This person is part of our systemic problem of mental illness, lack of shelter, homelessness, probably not on medication. Very similar to Joseph Greer, the guy who kidnapped the bus full of people and shot somebody and all that nonsense that happened last year. Went into the Overstreet Mall downtown in Atlanta and was doing, up to shenanigans, got on a bus, kidnapped a bunch of people, killed somebody. But because this woman was a refugee from the Ukraine. I think it just hits a bunch of talking points. And it's very sad. It's awful what happened. And we don't want it to happen again. As somebody who lives in this area, absolutely not. Um, but it's a major talking point right now. Um, I don't even know if the president commented on what happened in his backyard, which was the situation with Dakara Thompson. I mean, it's like two conflicting headlines. Um, I don't really know if they're commenting on that. Have they commented on that yet? So, because one story puts the federal government at fault for having had the potential fugitive in their custody. And then the other one is, the current administration being able to talk about other administrations across the country and point fingers and how they're doing bad jobs and all of those things, where there's room for improvement everywhere. I'm going to say that as a concerned citizen, I'm going to say there's room for improvement everywhere. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, let's get into it. If you're not, you're like, Fran, what are you talking about? What's really going on? Okay. Let me pull this picture up. I didn't have this picture ready. My bad. And we talked about Dakara like a day or two ago. Hugo, is it Hugo Hernandez Mendez? If I'm getting his name correct, forgive me if I'm getting his name wrong. But this gentleman right here is DeCarlos Brown. And DeCarlos has had a long history of mental health issues, homeless, and is no stranger to to law enforcement in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. Okay. He's no stranger. He's had multiple arrests, and you could tell if you saw this video. It's almost like it was weird because when I first saw it, it's like he came alive when she sat down on the train. It's like he woke up, and then it's very giving horror story. Um, the girl walks on the train. I think she was working at a pizza place or something. She was working at some restaurant. She gets on, she got her ball cap on, t-shirt. She literally looks like she just got off her shift. She's probably taking the train to her car or train to wherever she lives. Some people take the train for either purpose, right? They go to a park and ride and they drive home the rest of the way, walk or whatever, right? So she's getting on the train. And the train system here is very much almost like honor system. You go to the little train station, you buy your ticket, you get on. They don't have turnstiles. It is very much like ha 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 to all the big cities that have turnstiles and security and want to make sure. I mean, if somebody asks you, do you have your ticket? You want to have your ticket, but it's very much honor system ride around here. So you go, you get your ticket, you get on the train. He did not have a ticket. He wasn't supposed to be on the train. Why did they even bother to mention that? I don't know, because at the end of the day, he totally stabbed and killed somebody on the train. The fact that he didn't buy a ticket, whether he bought a ticket or not, it doesn't make the situation better or worse. They should have tightened up on that system a long time ago, where it's been the honor system. But someone buying a ticket or not having a ticket is not going to be indicative if you have a murderer get on a train or somebody who is out of their mind, whether they're going to be out of their mind and have a psychotic episode or choose to kill or whatever it is that they decide to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, does that make a difference if someone buys a ticket or not? I don't know that that's going to filter out the murderers. I felt like that was just something dumb to say, but whatever. Anyway, okay. Let's get into this video right here. And those of you who are not familiar with what's going on, let's get into it. Also, this is the deal. He got state charges and federal charges. So he's got he's being charged by the state of North Carolina for murder, as well as the federal government slapped him with charges, they're going to make sure he's put away for the rest of his life. Right now, at this moment, he's at the psychiatric hospital because I looked up his file last night and it was like he's already at the psychiatric hospital. He's been there for a couple of days now. And on top of that, it sounds like he's been making phone calls and one of his relatives recorded him, girl, and put it on the internet. So let's get into it because you know what we like around here, a phone call. Okay. So we're going to get into that. Please don't let me forget to play that for you guys. Somebody posted it on Facebook. It's been posted a lot and I reposted it just to make sure I wouldn't lose it. So let's get into a couple of these stories and get caught up.
Charge against the man accused in that deadly stabbing on Charlotte's light rail. DeCarlos Brown is already facing state-level first-degree murder charges, and now multiple agencies coming together to say they're also going to add a federal charge. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live explaining how local and federal leaders are standing shoulder to shoulder in this case.
I was looking it up because I was like, when is court? When is court? And he's up there at the psychiatric hospital. He's at the penitentiary. He's close to the penitentiary where R. Kelly is located. So there's a state penitentiary in Butner, North Carolina. There is a state psychiatric hospital in Butner as well. I'm so grateful to not live anywhere near Butner. No offense to anyone in Butner, but my God.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Autumn. Good morning to you. A good Wednesday morning, everyone. Basically, this case has gotten attention both locally, of course, and now nationally. And now, as you said, those federal charges, that could mean that the person, the suspect in this case, could actually face the death penalty. Now, you know, there are folks who are still concerned about their safety on the Charlotte transit system. The feds are also weighing in on that horrific crime. Now, 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown, who's already facing a first-degree murder charge in state court, now federal prosecutors have stepped up with an additional case. Brown accused of using a knife to kill 23-year-old Iryna Zarutska at the South End Light Rail Station last month. That stabbing, of course, sending shockwaves through Charlotte, raising new concerns about safety for its riders who depend on the Blue Line every day. City leaders have called for stronger security measures, while CMPD has increased patrols around transit stops. Now, federal investigators say Brown was not legally allowed to have the weapon that he used in the attack, which led to the federal weapons charge, as U.S. Attorney Russ Ferguson emotionally explained.
This is obviously a horrible, horrible situation. But this is why federal statutes exist. They exist to take care of situations like this because no one should sit in fear when they sit on the light rail.
Yeah, and of course, the investigations, both locally and federally, are continuing. Of course, if Brown is convicted, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars locally. Those federal charges could also mean that he could be put to death. We're right here in the South End. Richard Devane, we'll send it back to you.
Okay. Okay, let me get my other, hold on a second, guys. Let me switch up. My husband called me for a second and I was just like, babe, I gotta go. I'm live. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the magistrate, they're trying to basically she has a lot of explaining to do. Now, I think based on what was said, she was well within guidelines to have let him go the last time he got in trouble. But, you know, they're going to scrutinize everything at this point. So I feel bad for her because as judges, they want you to be tough on crime, but also as judges, they want fair justice for people who have not been adjudicated guilty, like you're innocent until proven guilty, right? So thank you, Plant Lover. Thank you, A Soft Place to Land. I appreciate y'all. So it's kind of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But I think that unfortunately you'll never be wrong with tough justice because, you know, if you're lenient and something happens, you will be scrutinized. And that's what's happening right now. This woman is she's being held to account for something that maybe based on what she had in front of her may not have indicated that he would have gone there, but according to his family they were saying he's schizophrenic, so it's quite possible it wasn't like a if, it was more going to be a when. But if you guys thought that, then he should have been evaluated psychologically a long time ago so that he could have gotten his appropriate services, right? So
breaking right now at 6 o'clock, federal charges handed down against the suspect in the light rail stabbing.
We built a city that people want to live in, but we can lose that all if we allow.
I hate to say it, guys, but this guy and the guy Hugo Hernandez Mendez, this is not the last we gonna hear about this. I mean, for the victims, it's good because the victims will get justice, but they are going to use this. This is all very getting, it's going to be used a lot. We're going to hear a lot about this.
Allow violent crime like this to go on in our streets.
Meanwhile, 10 other people got murdered and we don't even know their names. I'm not trying to be flip about it, but that's just the reality, unfortunately, for some families, is that there's, I'm sure in every community, there were some murders that happened last night and yesterday. We won't even know what happened to those people and nobody's even on the case yet.
Our team is on it tonight, from threats that Charlotte
They
could
on
lose
it
federal
tonight.
funding to a congressman's calls to fire the magistrate who released the suspect months before Iryna Zarutska's murder.
Is it because of the Ukraine? Because had it been a girl from up the street, would anybody, you know what I'm saying? I'm just wondering. It just got super duper political.
Zarutska should still be alive.
Tonight, a renewed focus and growing attention on the young woman who was killed. You're watching Eyewitness News live at 6. We start with that breaking news. Federal charges now in the South End light rail stabbing. The U.S. Attorney and the FBI announcing late this afternoon they're going to use a law created after 9/11 to federally charge DeCarlos Brown with what's called terrorist acts or other violence against a mass transit system.
And they said that they made that decision after they heard some people say that they're now afraid to ride the light rail. Brown is accused of stabbing and killing Iryna Zarutska August the 22nd as she rode a crowded light rail train home from work. She had recently moved to Charlotte from a bomb shelter in Ukraine. Federal prosecutors spoke to the Zarutska family today.
But after Iryna's death, the embassy in Ukraine called and said,
"Oh, okay." Because if it had been, and I'm not saying it's not a black and white thing, because I think it definitely is, but if it was another white girl, another Caucasian, from, I don't know, Tennessee, or just another side of North Carolina, no, the embassy, it's because the embassy called. That's what happened. So we just heard that, right? The embassy called, and you got somebody who is seeking domicile, shelter, refuge in the United States from the Ukraine. And I mean, it's awful. It is awful. Don't get me wrong. It's absolutely, it's almost, I really, as someone who's lived here for decades, I feel embarrassed that it happened here. It's horrible. It shouldn't have happened to anybody.
but after Iryna's death, the embassy in Ukraine called and said, we'll help you bring her home. And her family said no. They said she loved America. We're going to bury her here. So I think we can give her an America to be proud of.
The FBI says the decision.
I think she was buried up in Huntersville. Huntersville is like a suburb of the city.
to bring these types of charges in this case is an example of the federal agency's commitment to crack down on violent crime all over the country. Now, this case has garnered national attention in the past 48 hours, but Channel 9 has been covering this extensively every day since the attack.
And one of the first things we learned about the suspect is that he was charged with a misdemeanor in January, and the magistrate allowed him out of jail with no bond. Now, congressional leaders are calling for that magistrate to be fired.
Channel 9's Hunter Sines covers the courts for us. He joins us now live to explain how the magistrate process works and what, if anything, could have been done differently. Hunter?
Erica, a magistrate is the first judicial officer that a suspect sees when police bring them in to the Mecklenburg County Detention Center. They are the ones that set that initial bond. A magistrate saw DeCarlos Brown Jr. in January when he was arrested. And because of the bond,
This is one, and this is one where they can blame the Democrats. We have a Democratic mayor here, a black woman. Her name is Vi Lyles. This is where they can blame Vi, and it's a Democratic seat. See, North Carolina politics is very strange. I'm not going to get into it, but this is where they can point the finger at Mayor Vi. Okay. No, that's not what I'm saying. Hopefully that's not what I conveyed at all. Well, the magistrate was well within the guidelines, how she allowed him to go. I mean, he did have a history, but I'm sure there were probably 10 other people before him and 10 people after him that probably got the same thing. Her being from the Ukraine is just, she has a whole embassy. She has a government. The government is calling to find out what happened to one of their people who came to United States for refuge. That's the problem. Most people don't have an embassy or the government calling to check when something happens to them. Like I said, there could have been 10 or 20 other people. There could have been 10 other people to die in Charlotte yesterday. I guarantee you there's no form of government calling to check on them.
she set on that day, some people believe she should lose her job. But having covered the courts here for years in Mecklenburg County, I can tell you that bond for that specific charge is not unusual.
Okay.
As Channel 9 has been reporting, DeCarlos Brown was
It's
arrested in
definitely
January
political.
for allegedly misusing our 911 system. Police say he called them.
He's mentally ill. He's playing around with the phone, calling 911. What were they supposed to put him in jail for that? It's very political between the politics of Hugo Hernandez Mendez and him not being picked up by ICE. That's a problem, and it's being definitely talked about. And then this particular situation that you have a city that is under it's a Democratic stronghold, and they're going to point the finger and they're going to try to chip down the known establishment here, where it's, the whole state could go Republican. Charlotte will go Democratic, and
While at Novant Hospital, saying that someone gave him man-made material that controlled when he ate, walked, and talked. He was arrested and brought to the
he's hallucinating.
magistrate's office at the Mecklenburg County Jail. Magistrate Teresa Stokes was working that night. She gave Brown
It's all
what's
on
called
camera.
a written promise to appear, no cash bond. After covering the courts for years, that is not unusual for that type of misdemeanor charge. A suspect would typically not be held in jail for that type of misdemeanor. A reminder, bond is set not as a punishment, but to ensure a suspect goes to court. In previous cases, Brown failed to appear in court, though it's unclear if Stokes had that information when she determined his bond in January. Magistrates typically have little information about the person arrested in front of them. They rely heavily on what the arresting officer tells them. They should have access to the suspect's criminal record, but it's not likely they would have access to mental health history unless the arresting officer tells them that. Today on Capitol Hill, Congressman Tim Moore said he wants to fix this and hold magistrates and judges more accountable.
As the representative of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County, I'm not going to stay silent while innocent people pay the price for broken bail policies and soft on crime judges.
And I called multiple numbers listed for Magistrate Teresa Stokes, and I emailed her too, asking her for comment. So far, I have not heard back from her. The judge here in Mecklenburg County that oversees and manages our magistrates says he got that letter from those congressmen and women earlier today. He is reviewing it, but he has no additional comments to make at this time. We are live in Uptown. Hunter Signs, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
Hunter, thank you. And now we want to continue our team coverage. Iryna Zarutska's murder has sparked investigations on both the state and federal level.
Our Evan Donovan is joining us live in North Charlotte. Evan, what does this mean for Charlotte's roads and rails?
Scott, Erica, it's not clear at this point. These proposed investigations, details on them are slim right now. But what is clear is that there's a lot of money on the line. In the last fiscal year for which we have data, we know North Carolina got at least $1.7 billion from the Department of Transportation through its various administrations. That includes $33 million specifically for transit in the Charlotte area alone.
We don't have a ton of equities at DOT, but we do have money.
This evening, Katz is responding to the Trump administration's vehement reaction to the stabbing death of 23-year-old Ukrainian immigrant Iryna Zarutska after Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy called Charlotte and North Carolina politicians evil.
You know, the president said these are evil people.
No, he didn't. Oh, really?
And he's right, but it's also evil politicians, like the mayor, the city council, the DA, the governor.
So the mayor is evil. The mayor who is not a judiciary, the mayor who doesn't appoint magistrates is evil. Can you believe this?
North Carolina, evil people with evil policies.
Monday night on social media.
Evil people with evil policies. Can you believe this? Isn't this awful?
Duffy said DOT will be investigating Charlotte over its failure to protect Iryna Zarutska, adding if mayors can't keep their trains and buses safe, they don't deserve the taxpayers' money.
Your federal tax dollars go to fund a lot of these transit systems across the country.
So they're going to try to pull money. Y'all, please, I can't. Let me be quiet.
And we have to look at them and say, well, maybe it's appropriate that we start pulling some of that money back.
On Tuesday, Katz responded to the threat of a DOT investigation, saying it
Katz is Charlotte Area Transit System, okay? Like Go Cats, the Panthers, Charlotte Area Transit System, and the trains are called the Lynx.
Welcomes any conversation with our partners at US DOT. They work closely with transit agencies across the nation and are a valuable partner with Katz. Tuesday afternoon, North Carolina Auditor Dave Bolick announcing his office will be investigating Katz, the Charlotte area transit system, saying in a statement, the recent violence raises.
If anybody's in there slipping, they better start packing up and putting in those early retirements, because if anybody in there got anything worth investigating, like you stole 2 pencils or something, baby, people about to lose their jobs over there.
Serious questions about the security measures in place. We will investigate Katz and examine its public safety contracts and operations. FBI Director Kash Patel also reacting on social media, posting that the FBI has been investigating the Charlotte murder since day one, also thanking the Attorney General for bringing those federal charges against the suspect.
Well, where was the FBI when it happened? The FBI has an office right downtown. We have a whole field office right here. Okay, so I guess they were on it day one because they probably got notified that this lady was a Ukraine national.
Today. Live in North Charlotte, Evan Donovan, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
All right, Evan,
But
thank
however many murders there were, this is what I want to know: is every like this woman got killed and it was heinous? Were there any other equal to or just as heinous acts in that 24-hour time period? And was the FBI working on all of those too? I'm just saying, it's terrible for the families that are still waiting on phone calls for something to happen. And this guy got bagged and tagged within 48 hours. He's off to the mental institution. There is a whole entire PR situation going on around this right now. It's an onslaught. You know what I'm saying?
you for that update.
Tomorrow night, we will dedicate an entire hour to this story.
They're going to dedicate an entire hour?
Nine
The
investigates
light rail
the
stabbing.
light rail
Oh, my
stabbing.
God.
It airs tomorrow night at 10 p.m. here on Channel 9, on our sister station TV 64, and wherever you stream. You can also find our complete coverage, including our exclusive sit-down conversation with Kat's leadership on WSOCTV.com and on our free WSOC Now app.
Okay.
DeCarlos Brown has been charged with first-degree murder from the state and now faces one count of committing an act causing death on a mass transportation system. That's a federal charge, which could include...
I mean, calling cats mass transportation is very loosely. Like I said, it goes from one side of town to the other. It makes several stops, but it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's helpful. I'm sure it's very helpful for the people that ride it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not helpful for everybody. It's not mass transit.
Include life in prison without parole, or even possibly the death penalty.
The charge we are bringing is in Title 18, which is the criminal code. It's Section 1992A7, which is the law that Congress passed really for this situation.
Absolutely, period.
They say this is why federal statutes exist, because no one should have to sit in fear while sitting on the light rail.
As a native of Charlotte, I'm so sad to say that our city has gotten to this place. I was born here. I grew up here. I remember when the light rail was built.
He acts like he's about to cry. Is he running for governor?
I remember the development it spurred. I remember the excitement. And to think now that you
We
can't
all do. You're not the only one.
even feel comfortable riding that train hits me deep.
After the
You
meeting,
weren't riding the train. You weren't riding it. I'm sure. I'm sure. I rode it one time. Me and my colleagues, we got on the train and we took the train uptown and went to Ruth Chris for lunch. And then instead of driving, because it would have taken us more time to drive and park our cars, rather than take the train and just walk 2 blocks. And that's how people use the train. They jump on it. Maybe their office building is off the links and they jump on it, go uptown, they go to a game. You can take it right to the Panther Stadium. You go to your destination, you turn around and get in your car. Okay? That's most. If you live downtown, then you use it other ways, but I can't really comment on that. But he wasn't riding no links.
there were questions about how the process could go and if mental illness could interfere or prolong a decision on sentencing.
We have had cases where that has happened, and ultimately a judge will decide if he is competent to stand trial or not.
One thing happens, the person is over in a mental institution 200 miles away, and now it's not safe.
But one thing is for sure, this person cannot be allowed on the streets. He cannot be allowed on our trains.
There were also asked about other incidents within transportation.
Yeah, well, we're concerned about the buses too. This is not just about rail.
Well, no, you look, the buses have been a problem, and because it has a certain clientele, they don't care as much as the buses. They care about that train that takes you uptown to STK, and not STK, but BLT and Capitol Grill and Ruth Chris and all the restaurants. They care about that. That's what it's.
And we're concerned about the streetcar. We're concerned about the special transit vehicles that are used for handicapped individuals. This is a problem with transit.
But compared to most cities, Charlotte is a very safe city, and there's minimal things that happen here. But bad things happen everywhere. Everybody knows that.
And officials say the investigation is still ongoing. They're still combing through pieces of evidence. So, of course, there could be more charges to come. Reporting live near Uptown, Tradisha Woodard, WCNC Charlotte.
Is this another one? Okay.
This video.
Okay. That was in my lineup too, but we're not going to do that one right now. Hold on a second. Let me shift. Okay. Let me shift gears real quick. Okay, so let me show you this. All right. Okay. So sir is this the charges? Yes. Okay. You see this? He is at Central Regional Hospital. He's out. He's at the mental institution, okay? Do I have his affidavit? Hold on a second. Let me just check and see what it says. I feel like I did, but let me just be sure that it said anything, because it might be a bunch of nothing. Is there a narrative on there? Okay. Okay. Well, let's read this. Okay, it says on 8/22 at approximately 21:55, Central Division officers received an assault with a deadly weapon with injury call for service that was occurring on the train of the Lynx Blue Line at Camden Road. The call comments include that a female was just stabbed in the throat by a black male wearing a black shirt, light blue jeans, and orange hoodie. The officers responded to the scene and were directed by witnesses to the location of the defendant, DeCarlos Dejuan Jr., who was on the outbound light rail platform. The defendant was wearing the same clothing as described by the 911 callers and had a laceration to the outside of his hand. The defendant was arrested and transported to a local hospital for treatment. A folding knife was located near the outbound platform. The victim was located near the car of the train in the outbound platform. She was pronounced dead at 22:05. 22:05. Wow. So like 10 minutes later. 22:05. I wonder if when you see the video, she wasn't rendered incapacitated like immediately. I wonder if anybody had a chance to apply pressure and come to her assistance. It just seemed like everybody, I think people were stunned. I just get the feeling that people didn't really know what happened. They saw him acting weird. They saw the blood. They saw her stunned. I don't know if she like immediately fainted afterwards. But I wonder if somebody had been able to give her some first aid, apply some serious pressure, and so that she's not sitting there bleeding out. Would that have helped? I don't know. But yeah, it's really sad to see what happened to her. The victim sustained a stab wound to the middle of her throat. Detectives obtained the video from inside the train car. The video is clear and of ID quality. The victim enters the train and sits in a seat directly in front of the defendant. The train travels for approximately 4.5 minutes before the suspect pulls a knife from his pocket. So when they show it, it's clearly edited. The way it looked to me, she got on the train, she sat down in front of him, and it seemed like moments later he's deploying his knife. So if it was 4.5 minutes of travel, the train travels for approximately 4.5 minutes before the suspect pulls out his pocket knife. So we don't see that on the video. unfolds the knife, pauses, then stands up and then strikes the victim 3 times. Blood visibly drips on the floor as the defendant walks away from the victim. The victim goes unresponsive shortly after. It looked like people were looking like they were looking at him. I don't even know if they noticed her. The defendant is the assailant on the video. There appears to be no interaction between the victim and the defendant. The detectives are seeking a charge of murder. I'm not going to show anything else because there isn't anything else really to show. Okay. Let me pivot. So right now, it doesn't appear to be any court dates at all. He's at the mental hospital. He's at Central Regional Hospital. If you look that up in North Carolina, that's the mental institution. And it's up on the other side of Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. It's in Butner. And if you see this, no bond, defendant to get a competency evaluation. And he's not even in town right now. I don't know if they're scheduling him for any other. I don't see anything else, but we'll definitely be keeping up with this one for sure. So it's just interesting. You know, it's highly visible. He's clearly disturbed. They say he's got schizophrenia. At the end of the day, the video shows him committing the act, so it's not I'm sure, look, I don't know, good defense attorney can come up with whatever they want. It might not be if he gets it's a not if he is prosecuted, it's when and how far they're going to go with this, but he does have state charges now. Let's look at this. This is the statement from the federal government. So the federal government already has this posted, y'all. A federal criminal complaint was filed in the U.S. District Court in Charlotte Tuesday, charging DeCarlos Dejuan Brown, 34, with a federal crime in connection with the attack of Iryna Zarutska. I think she was put to rest in Huntersville is what I saw. I'll have to look it up and see. Iryna Zarutska on the city's light rail system. Brown is charged with 1 count of committing an act causing death on a mass transit system. Iryna Zarutska was a young woman living in America, living the American dream. Well, okay. Her horrific murder is a direct result of failed soft on crime. Wow. I hadn't read this yet. Her murder is a direct result of failed soft on crime politics that puts criminals before innocent people. And Attorney General Pamela Bondi, I have directed my attorneys to federally prosecute DeCarlos Brown Jr., a repeat violent offender with a history of violent crime for murder. We will seek a maximum penalty for his unforgivable act of violence. He will never again see the light of day as a free man. Pamela Bondi. Okay. A brutal attack on Iryna Zarutska on the Charlotte light rail was a disgraceful act that should never happen again in America. Right. It shouldn't happen to anybody, said FBI Director Kash Patel. The FBI jumped to assist in this investigation immediately to ensure justice is served and the perpetrator is never released from jail to kill again. I want to thank Attorney General Bondi for her pursuit of today's federal charges, which are the first step towards delivering justice for Iryna and her family, as well as the millions of Americans who deserve to live in our great American cities free of being targeted by violent criminals. According to allegations in the affidavit filed with the criminal complaint, on August 22nd at approximately 9:55, officers with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department responded to a call for service related to an assault that occurred on the Lynx Blue Line rail in Charlotte. Callers indicated that a woman had been stabbed by a male. Responding officers located the victim outside the rail car. The victim, subsequently identified Iryna Zarutska, had sustained fatal stab wounds. A pocket knife and other items were collected on the scene. Investigators reviewed surveillance footage that showed the victim entering the light rail car and sitting down in the row in front of Brown. Approximately 4 minutes later, Brown pulled the knife from his pocket, unfolded it before striking the victim 3 times from behind. Following the attack, Brown walked away from the victim. Responding officers located Brown on the light rail platform and he was arrested. The brutal attack on an innocent woman simply trying to get to her destination is an attack on the American way of life, said U.S. Attorney Russ Ferguson. Of course, crimes like this affect the victim the most. Iryna deserves justice, and we will bring justice to her and her family. But crimes like this also affect everyone who relies on mass transit to get to and from work and to go about their daily lives. And federal charges are necessary to protect the public, to ensure confidence in our transportation systems. If convicted, Brown faces a maximum statutory sentence of life in prison or death. Ultimately, the sentence will be determined by the court based on the advisory sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors. The FBI is investigating the case with the assistance of Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Assistant U.S. Attorney Mark Odolio maybe, is the U.S. Attorney's Office in Charlotte is prosecuting this case. The charges against Brown are allegations, and he is presumed innocent unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. Boom. Okay. This is the actual criminal complaint. We'll see what else they say in here. Anything? Oh my. Oh, they have pictures too. Okay, hold on. They got that done quick, didn't they? Why did he choose to attack her is my question. He's got schizophrenia, so I don't know. We'd have to go deep into the recesses of the criminal. It could have been a snap. It could have been anything. Amir, I don't know if you've seen the video, but it's giving opportunity. It's giving that voice in his head spoke to him. I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist. He seems like a highly disturbed individual. And just furthermore, he's of that mindset. I can't really tell you. Well, we do have the reason they said the embassy called, right? The embassy, she's a foreign national from the Ukraine. She's here maybe under some sort of protected status. And we don't know whose child she is. It's on some F around and find out type situation, right? Nobody should be killed in such a manner, right? But yeah, we do have a field office right here, and Charlotte is a very safe city. Not to say that bad things don't happen here, because they do, but it's very rare. And I think this was kind of a shocking gut punch, but it's an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like there are people who are going to use this as an opportunity to push through a particular dialogue. But there needs, this is what's going on. But yeah, this guy's disturbed, and it's it's unfortunate. I don't even think I would want to go back to the, 5 judges ago. Forget about the judge who just let him out for the misuse of 911. Let's go back to this violent crime history, and the last violent crime that he was like, I don't know that it's the responsibility of the person who didn't keep him in jail for misusing 911. I think it's the last violent crime, and they need to look at the whole entire scope of, how the system failed the city as it relates to DeCarlos, not him playing on the phone and them letting him out to come back and then now he killed somebody, because that's not an indicator of somebody playing with the 911 system that they're going to go out and kill someone. Let's look at the violent crimes that needed to be looked at and why he wasn't charged or didn't have jail time, or what the other situations were as to why he kept getting out. When he did something serious, why was he still out? Not when he was playing on the phone. You know what I'm saying? That's I feel like more relevant to help with the problem, because we do have a homeless problem. It might not live up to the measure of cities like Los Angeles, but there are people out here who are teeter-tottering on doing dreadful things, and it could be happening again next week. Somebody doing a petty crime may not be the tipping point, but it could be what they did some months ago, and then they're not showing up to court and they're not being supervised, and all of those things. Those are the things that really need to be looked into. Yeah, I think she should have been saved if someone had come. Well, look, this is the deal. You have a crazy man with a knife. Everybody is not Superman and Superwoman. I'm going to be honest. If I knew that I was going to be safe, of course I would help someone. Of course I'm going to call 911. Of course I'm going to, and then of course there's also, I don't know what I'm going to do in the time of an emergency, but I'm not going to sit there and get stabbed in my throat and not get home to my family. I just, but to apply pressure, first aid, all of those things, absolutely. Maybe some of the people on the train didn't know first aid. We don't know if first aid happened or not. That's something we don't know. So we could assume it didn't happen. I'm not sure what happened. She survived for another 10 minutes. My guess is that whatever first aid was done, it might not have been very good. They may not have known what to do specifically. They could have been scared, especially if he's still there with his knife. It sounds like he was just standing on the other side of the platform. It wasn't giving that he was subdued by all of those men on the train. It just sounds like, I don't know. We don't know what happened. We're going to find out. But you would think that he would have had 10 men piled on top of him, right? When the police came, he was standing on he was waiting for another train. Sounds like he was over on the other side of the platform minding his business and had ditched the weapon. So and there were plenty of men and women standing around. So it just seems like people just kept their distance because they probably didn't know what he was going to do. And at that hour, people are trying to get home, right? Just like the young lady was. So I don't think anybody really knew what he was capable. They saw what he was capable of initially, but I don't think they really knew what was going to happen next. So, and I don't blame people for being scared. I would have been scared too. But I would have tried to at least administer some first aid if I knew it was going to be safe. You know what I'm saying? You can't save somebody if you're dead. You know what I'm saying? If he's on some slasher type stuff, it's like, what do you do? So I would almost imagine they were scared seeing him dripping in blood. He looks crazy. They didn't know what to do. So they all called 911. They all identified him because I'm sure there's situations where people turn a blind eye. People turn a blind eye. They're not calling. They're not getting involved. They're just getting in their car. They're going away. So thankfully, they got descriptions. Hopefully someone stayed with her. I mean, it's so sad. Girl, these people who are crazy, we don't know what he would have done. I don't know that they thought, based on the pictures, it didn't look like, I'll play one of the edited ones. If you haven't seen, I don't think anybody is showing like the start to finish. But it didn't look like the blood was coming right away. But the way he stabbed her, she could have had blood pooling in her chest before it ever started coming out of her neck. I don't know. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Okay, let's read some of this. So this is the criminal complaint filed by the US government. I don't even have the indictment from the state, but the federal government has already filed a criminal complaint against him. Let me just be double sure. They have charged him with murder, but I don't see any sort of indictment. The indictment might be coming very soon. They might be putting a rush on it. Who knows? They have the criminal affidavit, which I read to you guys earlier. They have him getting a psych evaluation. He's up there at Central Regional Hospital right now. He was charged with murder on the 29th. No bond per competency evaluation. Nothing on, he's got his courthouse location. So he got his electronic warrant assigned. Maybe he has court. I need to call and double check. If he's got court on the 19th, I'll have to check and find out. He might have court on 9/19. Okay, at 1:30. That might be happening. When is that? The 19th. That's a week from Friday. Okay, a week from Friday, he might be in court. So if that's the case, we will definitely be following up. Okay. All right, let's go back over here. Let's see. They gave him, this is his charge, terrorist attack and other violence against mass transit system. Okay. Attachment A, affidavit in support of criminal complaint and arrest warrant for DeCarlos Dejuan Brown Jr. I, Cameron Winchester, a special agent with the FBI, being duly sworn, deposes and says, I have been a special agent with the FBI since 2022 and assigned to the FBI Charlotte Violent Crimes Task Force since December of 2024. Since becoming a special agent, I have investigated criminal street gangs, trafficking of controlled substances, carjacking, and bank robberies. Prior to joining the FBI, I was employed as a probation parole officer with the North Carolina Department of Public Safety. In my role as a probation parole officer, I've supervised gang caseload, worked violent crime, and handled fugitive matters. I was also assigned to NCDPS, Special Operations and Intelligence Unit, and the FBI Raleigh-Durham Safe Streets Task Force of Charlotte Field Office, where I investigated violent street gangs and narcotics distribution. This affidavit is presented in support of a criminal complaint charging DeCarlos Dejuan Brown Jr. Brown with the violating Title 18 United States Code 1992 A7 and B1 terrorist attacks and other violence against a mass transit transportation system. This affidavit contains information necessary to support the probable cause of the criminal complaint. This information contained in this affidavit is based on my personal participation in the investigation of the case and from the information provided to me by the special agents and task force officers, as well as the federal, state, and local law enforcement officers, since this affidavit being submitted for the limited purposes of establishing probable cause in the issuance of the criminal complaint. I have not included each and every fact known to me concerning this investigation. I have set forth only those facts which I believe are necessary to establish the requisite foundation for probable cause. Facts in the probable cause. Based on my training and experience, I know that the Charlotte area transit system is the largest transit system between Atlanta and Washington, D.C., with multiple local, express, regional bus routes, as well as the light rail service called Lynx Blue Line. Lynx Blue Line has 26 stations spanning across 19 miles, with a northern terminus at the UNC Charlotte and a southern terminus at I-485 southbound. CATS provides regular mass transit services to the public, including to Charlotte Douglas Airport and Amtrak stations, and across state lines into Rock Hill, South Carolina, among other destinations. The defendant, DeCarlos Dejuan Jr., is a 34-year-old man who resides in recent years in Charlotte, North Carolina. They should have said homeless man, which, not that that makes a difference, but he is homeless. On approximately August 22nd, 2025, at approximately 21:55, officers of Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department Central Division received a call for service related to an assault with a deadly weapon that occurred on the Lynx Blue Line located at Katz East/West Boulevard Station at Camden Road, Charlotte, North Carolina. Comments from the 911 call advised that a woman had been stabbed by a black male wearing a black shirt, light blue jeans, and orange hooded shirt. CMPD responded to the scene and arrested Brown on the outbound Lynx Blue Line platform located at the same CAT station as a call for service at the Camden Road location. CMPD officers also located a folding pocket knife near the outbound light rail platform. At the time of the Brown's arrest, his clothing matched the suspect's clothing description given by the 911 callers. Additionally, Brown had a laceration to his hand. Brown was arrested and was transported to Atrium Main Hospital to be treated. CMPD located the victim in the rear car of the CATS train marked 316A at the inbound platform. The victim, subsequently identified as IZ, was laying on her back, deceased, next to a large amount of blood. Yeah, if they would have been able to apply some pressure, helped her pressurize the wound, you never know. And the hospital was so close. Her legs extended out. The victim was wearing a black t-shirt, khaki pants, black Nike shoes. CMPD crime scene investigators responded to the scene and collected the pocket knife, which was covered with the suspect's blood. In addition to the red shirt soaked in the suspected blood, CMPD CSI also collected swabs from the suspected blood on the platform and buccal hand fingernail swabs from the victim. CMPD CSI also collected other items located at the victim's person and in the seat where the victim sat prior to the attack. CMPD detectives obtained surveillance footage from the inside. So it sounds like, just knowing how our train runs, so whenever she got someone must have stopped the train, clearly. Because, in New York, you step off the train 30 seconds later, it's taking off unless someone can get a conductor to stop the train. It sounds like once it came to a stop or they stopped it, the train never left, because if they were able to get all of that, the train was still in place. So they did help. They alerted the conductor stopped the train. Charlotte Transit doesn't, I'm not going to say the buses don't, but the train is very kind of, the conductor's not hard to reach. And then also you've got the stop switches. So someone must have stopped the train, but the guy didn't go anywhere. So, I don't know. But anyway, there's a call or something that I'm going to play because apparently one of his family members recorded him. All right. Let's see. So they collected all of the swabs. We're right here. CMPD, CSI also collected other items on the victim's person and in the seat where the victim sat prior to the attack. CMPD detectives obtained surveillance footage from the inside of the light rail car at approximately 2146, and the victim can be seen entering the light rail car and sitting down in the row in front of Brown. Let's see if we can make it bigger. If you've seen this, if you have seen the video, you've seen some of this. It just looked like he was like dozing or just in another world. And when she sat down, it was giving like he kind of like woke up and then he started playing with that knife. I don't know what it was. He might have just been waiting on a victim to show up. It could have been anybody. It was very random. At approximately 2150, Brown pulled a knife. So she came in at 2146. So she came in, sat down. She's probably sitting in her seat roughly about 3 to 4 minutes. At approximately 2150, Brown pulled the pocket knife, unfolded the knife before striking the victim 3 times. Following the attack, suspected blood can be seen dripping onto the floor as Brown walked away from the victim. Look at all the blood on the floor, just all of that. Based on the above information, your affiant respectfully requests the issuance of a criminal complaint against DeCarlos Dejuan Brown Jr. In conclusion, based upon my training and experience and the facts of the investigation, I submit that there is probable cause on or about August 22nd, 2025, within the Western District of North Carolina and elsewhere, the defendant, DeCarlos Dejuan Brown Jr., did knowingly and without lawful authority and permission commit the act, including the use of a dangerous weapon with the intent to cause death and serious bodily injury to one or more persons on a terminal structure, track, facility used in the operation of mass transportation vehicle, which is carrying passengers and employees at the time of the offense, and the conduct was engaged in, on, against, and affecting mass transportation provider engaging interstate commerce, to which the Charlotte Area Transit System, in violation of Title 18 United States Code, Section 1992A7 and B1. I request that the court issue a criminal complaint and arrest warrant for the same. And yeah. So, woo. Okay. Have I shown y'all everything? Oh, let's look at this. This is the one. So this is the charge that he had in January 2025, misuse of the 911 system. Okay, that was all right. Now, I think that there's more. I just couldn't pull them all up. This is the most recent. This is the murder. Let's see what else he's had. Okay, so he had an assault on a female in 2022, injury to real property. We don't know what happened with that. Okay, this one is not available for some reason. Again, misuse of 911 system. What is that's weird. I don't even understand that. We'd have to look at the police report to understand like what did he actually do? Maybe I can look that one up. Okay. Um, misuse of the 911 system, 25 CR 214. Let me look it up because I don't even know what that means. I'm thinking phony phone calls. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I have no idea what that means. Who's playing with the phone? Misuse. Maybe he's calling it for, I don't know. I have no idea. Let me not even try to figure it out. Let me look up the case number. Hold on. I wonder why I can't see it. Okay, DeCarlos. Okay, let me look it up another way. Brown, DeCarlos. They're like, oh, you're gonna have to look these up one by one. You're not gonna just get to skate by and use a code. Yeah, she should probably have gotten cut, but her main artery probably wouldn't have gotten injured. It's terrible. I mean, who wouldn't be scared to ride the links right now? But I mean, the fact that he's locked up, it's kind of like, okay, well, he's locked up, so we don't really need to worry. But of course, people are going to be nervous. Like I said, the riding the links is very much of a honor system thing. Do they have his first and last name on here? They do. Okay, let's see. Not first and last name. I meant to say his middle name. But I don't know how they're going to make that revision. It's you get on the train, you're supposed to pay. I don't see that. Oh, here it is. Maybe this is it. 2020. Let's see. 25,223. This is it right here. Let's see what the affidavit says. Okay. On or about on 1/19/2025, officers responded to Hawthorne Lane in reference to a check the welfare call on service approximately at 21:22 hours. Once on the scene, officers spoke with the defendant, DeCarlos Brown, who advised that he believed someone gave him a man-made material that controlled when he ate, walked, talked, etc. Brown wanted officers to investigate this man-made material that was inside his body. Officers advised Brown that the issue was a medical issue and that there was nothing further they could do. Brown became upset with the officers' answers, and with officers still on the scene, he called 911 to speak to the police. After Brown got off the phone with 911, he was placed under arrest and charged with misuse of 911. That's what they want to fire the judge over. He needed to go to a mental hospital. Maybe they should have taken him to the hospital or something. to be evaluated. That's what he wanted, and it's giving he was tripping on something. I don't know, but okay, let's look at the other one. He did it before, right? Hold on. He misused the system, misuse of the 911 system. What was the date? May 3rd, 2024. So when he called the police, what did he do? Let's see. Hold on. So he said something bad was going on. Okay, 2024. I don't see it. What was that? May 2024, right? Okay. I don't see it. He's got a host of charges here. I mean, he's got a lot. Look at all this. I don't know if all of these are him. I mean, it's matching, but I don't want to. I don't see the one for, oh, okay, maybe. Jeez. Is that it? This might be the murder one. This is the murder. Anyway, okay. All right, let's pivot. Oh, you guys couldn't see, sorry. He's got, I can't see the one from 2024. I'll try and do some more research and see what his other, if he was having another moment where he called 911. Okay. All right, let's go. Let me go to Facebook and let me let you guys hear this call, this situation. I don't know how this was obtained. I'm going to be honest. Cold-blooded killer DeCarlos Brown has now spoken for the first time from jail after murdering Iryna Zarutska. Claimed that it wasn't him. It was a material planted in him by the government. What? I don't know who. So it says courtesy of somebody named Tracy Brown. So Tracy Brown on Facebook might have done this. Hold on. So take this with a grain of salt. This is all over Facebook right now, y'all, okay? Grain of salt, because they're saying it was let me go on mute, but they're saying this is if you see up top it says Tracy Brown, so it's quite possible a family member posted this. Okay, I think it's only a minute, but we'll go and see if I'm going to see if I can find Tracy Brown, see if there's more.
So you said something in your body did what?
Nah, the material, put it like this, the material using my body to stab the lady.
And so she just got stabbed.
Yeah. You know that's not me. I'm talking about just for no reason. But since they did that, now they gotta investigate the material my body is exposed to. Since they want to do all that, now they gotta investigate.
It's funny because she's from the Ukraine. She's from Russia, and you know they got a war. They had a war going on against the United States. So I'm just trying to understand, out of all people, why her?
That's hey, it ain't. I don't have nothing. They just lashed out on her. That's what happened. They lashed out on her. Whoever was working the material, whoever was working the material, they lashed out on her.
So you said something in your body did what?
Nah, the material, feel like the material using my body to stab the lady.
And so she just got stabbed.
Yeah. You know that's not me. I'm talking about just for no reason. But since they did that, now they got to investigate the material my body is exposed to. Since they want to do all that, now they got to investigate.
It's funny because she's from the Ukraine. She's from Russia, and you know they got a war. They had a war going on against the United States. So I'm just trying to understand, out of all people, why her?
It ain't. I don't have nothing. They just lashed out on her. That's what happened. They lashed out on her. Whoever was working the material, whoever was working the material, they lashed out on her.
Girl, he sounds like he's talking about some Jason Bourne type stuff. Okay. It says, so let me go over here real quick. It says, so sister of suspect in Iryna Zarutska killing says he was crying for help. Tracy Brown, a sister of DeCarlos Brown Jr., says her brother battled severe mental illness for years and warned of his declining state long before the fatal Charlotte light rail stabbing of the Ukraine refugee Iryna Zarutska. So I guess his sister got him on the phone. She recorded it. I wish I could find her post. I haven't had enough time to look for it where everybody is pulling this from. So I feel sorry for the girl. I really do. It's awful. It's awful what happened to her and scary. No doubt. It's just a shame that it has to become super duper political and not just be handled like okay, I've seen her in my timeline. Hold on a second, guys. This lady, I didn't know what that was about. Oh, that's the judge, girl. That's Teresa Stokes. Teresa Stokes is the judge who released DeCarlos Brown, who was murdered by Iryna Zarutska, aboard a Charlotte light rail train. Okay, let me keep looking if I can find the Teresa post. We'll get back to. Oh God, and of course they're blaming Mayor Vi. This is Vi Lyles right here. Long time city councilwoman turned mayor some years ago. I don't know. She could be mayor 6 years now. It's been a while. Someone might say, Fran, it's been 10 years. I can't tell you, but it's been a while. Vi's been around for a long time. They say his brother, he has a brother on his daddy's side, and they say that he's a convicted murderer too. DeCarlos faced his first court appearance after being charged with first-degree murder in the stabbing. I don't know when, but let's see what this is about. Hold on a second, guys.
On the blue line, thank you. Nick Sturdivant, Jeb is in studio in for Carlene. All right, so we want to get to a story that we have been back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Jeb is in studio in for Carlene. All right, so we want to get to a story that we have been following this week, a story regarding cats. So DeCarlos Brown made his first court appearance just hours ago. So he is the man accused of killing a Ukrainian woman who moved here to escape her war-torn country. This incident all happened on the I'm blanking on the name, on the blue line. Thank you. the case raising questions about safety and scrutiny on public transportation. Again, this is a story that we have been following all week. Jessie Pierre has been on top of this story. She's outside of the Mecklenburg County Courthouse today. Jessie, you were there for that first court appearance. Catch us up. What happened today?
So yes, DeCarlos Brown, 34-year-old, was had here today. There was a little delay in the beginning because he couldn't physically appear for his court hearing because of health issues and so forth. As you know, after the stabbing incident, he was taken to the hospital with injuries or so forth, and so he had to wait to be served at overall. Now, he had his court appearance today, and he learned that he will not get a bond, so he will be staying in jail. Now, he is accused of killing Iryna Zarutska, a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine, escaping war and chaos and so forth, really looking for fresh beginnings. And according to court documents and police records, the two were on the blue line in South End. She got on the train, and at some point, and she actually sat across from him, at some point he got up and he stabbed her 3 times on the neck. She eventually died from her injuries. Police have confirmed that the two did not know each other. Now, during the court hearing today, his attorneys did say that they plan to file a motion to have him evaluated for competence. Now, during the hearing, her family member, her uncle, spoke to the judge, addressing the judge, saying that this has been devastating for his family, that Brown took away a beautiful, bright woman from them, and this has been really devastating, and asking the judge not to let Brown free, not to release him, saying that he is a menace to society. At the end, the judge decided to go with no bond at this time. His next court hearing is later next month at the end of September. So we'll continue to follow this case, but many questions again about safety and security when it comes to riding public transportation. And we did reach out to CATS, and they say that they're being proactive and making sure safety is a priority, and that they continue to create an environment that is, comfortable for folks who are riding the train and et cetera, including deploying officers at hotspot areas. They have plans to also have bike patrols in South End as well. So we'll continue to have those conversations, and we did speak to local city leaders, and we'll have those interviews coming up at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock today. Nick?
Back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Jeb is in studio in for Carlene. All right, so we want to get to a story that we have been following this week.
Is he unhoused? Yes. Let me see if I can find Tracy Brown. Apparently, she posted it somewhere. That audio of him talking. Incident. I guess she wanted people to know that her brother, that that they tried. I don't know. I wonder where this audio comes from. Well, they said it came from Tracy, but Tracy Brown said she talked to her brother after his arrest and asked him why he attacked the woman. Okay, so I don't know how true for. Okay, let's see what this. Someone posted this, so again, take it with a grain of salt. So this killing is due to the killer's mental problem. Quote from CNN: woman stabbed on train. For years, loved ones struggled with Brown. Suspect. Let's see. Maybe they linked the page because this is where. Okay, let's go here. So this came from a CNN article. Okay, the suspect in the grisly slaying of the woman on the Charlotte Light Rail train now faces federal charges in the case that was turned into a political lightning rod in the country where she came to seek safety. Iryna Zarutska fled. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Zarutska fled Ukraine in 2022 with her mother, sister, brother, escaped from war with Russia, and she quickly embraced her new life in United States. Her obituary states, but on the night of August 22nd, moments after she texted her boyfriend to say she would be home soon, a man sitting behind her on the train stabbed her 3 times in the throat in an unprovoked attack. The suspect, 34 years old, DeCarlos Brown, had a long rap sheet and now faces a charge of first-degree murder and a federal charge of committing an act causing death on mass transit systems. The federal charges come with a possibility of death penalty, a punishment that President Donald Trump said he supported in this case. Prosecutors were still investigating the case. Russ Ferguson, the U.S. Attorney in the Western District of North Carolina, said on Tuesday, Democratic and Republican leaders have traded barbs on who or what is to blame. The debate simmers against the backdrop of Trump's administration vowing to fight crime by deploying federal troops to predominantly Democratic cities. On Wednesday morning, members of North Carolina GOP and 12th Congressional District Republicans spoke at the light rail station to criticize what they call is soft on crime politics in a Democratic-led city. Remember, Iryna Zarutska survived the Ukraine in a bomb shelter, said Kyle Kirby, chair of Mecklenburg County Republican Party. In war-torn Ukraine, she made her way from that country to Charlotte seeking refuge and promise, and she was given the edge of a knife. Here's what we know about the case, polarizing opinions across the country. Suspect said he killed the victim because she was reading my mind, his sister says. For years, loved ones struggled to find Brown the care he needed. Family members said Brown had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and suffered hallucinations and paranoia. His sister, Tracy Brown, said. She said her brother told her multiple times the government had implanted a chip in him. I knew he was battling something, but I wanted to know what it was, she said. Brown was sometimes aggressive and attacked his sister in 2022, Tracy Brown told CNN. Though her brother was arrested that night, she decided to drop the charges out of concern for her brother's mental health issues. But it wasn't Brown's only run-in with the law. He has several convictions on his record, including a armed robbery, felony larceny, and breaking and entering. Brown spent more than 5 years behind bars for robbery with a dangerous weapon. State records show after he was released in 2020, he didn't seem like himself and struggled to hold conversations and jobs, his sister told CNN. Their mother had tried to get him placed in long-term facility. Tracy Brown told CNN but her attempts failed because Tracy Brown said she talked to her brother after his arrest and asked him why he attacked the woman on the train. Because she was reading my mind, he told her. His January release stokes controversy. Earlier in the year, Brown was charged with misuse of 911, a class 1 misdemeanor, after he allegedly asked officers to investigate a man-made material that controlled when he ate, walked, talked, court documents said. Officers told Brown the issue was a medical issue and there was nothing more they could do. Brown became upset and called 911, the record states. A condition of his release was his written promise to appear for the next hearing, according to the court records. The White House said his release left him free to slaughter an innocent woman just months later. CNN has reached out to Brown's public defender, the Mecklenburg County District Attorney's Office, and magistrate judge who ordered his release for comment. Even though Charlotte's mid-year stats show 25% decrease in violent crimes compared to the same time last year, Trump said North Carolina needed reform. North Carolina and every state needs law and order, and other Republicans will deliver it, Trump said on Truth Social. Officials spar over who is to blame. Charlotte Democratic Mayor Vi Lyles blamed the tragic failure by the courts and magistrate and called for improved mental health care to prevent tragedies involving those in crisis. We need a bipartisan solution to address repeat offenders who do not face consequences for their actions and those who cannot get treatment for their mental illness and who are allowed to be on the streets. She also announced increased security by law enforcement presence on public transportation, public transit. But Republicans accuse Lyles and criminal justice system of being weak on crime. They said a man with Brown's record shouldn't have been on the streets at all. The U.S. Department of Transportation on Wednesday opened an investigation into the light rail transit system in Charlotte to determine whether they are taking necessary actions to keep riders and transit workers safe. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy also criticized the mayor's stated gratitude for those who chose not to share gruesome video footage of the killing. Charlotte's mayor does not want the media to show how the ugly truth. Why? Because she and other public officials in her city bear responsibility, Duffy posted on X. Stephen Miller, White House deputy chief and staff of policy, posted about the stabbing on social media and blasted other major organizations for what he described as a lack of coverage. I feel like it got a lot of coverage. I mean, maybe because I live here, I've seen it plenty, but yeah. There's there's so much tragedy that happens every day. Duffy said he's investigating the possibility of cutting federal funding from Charlotte's light rail system. I can't pull money today from their transit system, Duffy told Fox News Sean Hannity on Monday. We start an investigation tomorrow. I guarantee all your viewers that if I find what I think I'm going to find, they're not going to have your federal tax dollars going to the public transportation system. Y'all, this is a long article. I'm like, my God. Okay. I feel like we covered it. We can get back to more of it, but I'll drop the link. You guys can finish it up. I feel like we've covered it amply. Okay. Did he ever get a brain scan? I don't know. They didn't say. I'm sure they're going to check him top to bottom. They're going to thoroughly investigate so that when he starts this judicial process, that they're, I'm saying, he's going to get his scans, I'm sure. Why didn't they take him to the hospital? Well, remember what happened to Joseph Greer in Atlanta last year? He was having an episode. So Joseph Greer, there had been a situation that had happened in the Overstreet some cafe area in downtown Atlanta, and he was outside like talking to the police and giving an interview and absolutely kind of incoherent. And an hour or two later, he commandeered a whole entire bus with a dozen people on it and killed somebody and drove the bus all around Atlanta. Meanwhile, the cops let him go. I mean, it happens. You have someone who is not a psychologist or medical professional making a decision, but at a certain point, if somebody asks for medical attention, they should be taken to a hospital. But that's what Joseph Greer did. Joseph Greer was giving an interview to the news, talking really weird. And then an hour and a half later, if you go back into the day that Atlanta bus hijacking happened, he was talking to the news outside like an hour before. He said that he hadn't been to the hospital. He hadn't had his medicine in a week. I don't know what he was taking. Girl, next thing, he killed someone, kidnapped the bus like Speed, and it was mayhem ensued, right? And he's been in jail ever since. Look him up, Joseph Greer. I have maybe a couple of videos. I have like 2-3 videos on the topic over here. Just look for Joseph Greer. We haven't talked about him in a while. He's been under psychiatric evaluation. I don't know that he's even in a position yet where he's fit to stand trial. I think he's over there at Rice Street in Atlanta. I don't know if they're getting ready. They're going to have to use a special prosecutor because just so happened, of course, somebody on the bus worked for the Fulton County Prosecutor's Office. So they can't have anyone from the prosecutor's office prosecute the case. I think they had to bring someone in from like DeKalb or Cobb County or somewhere. They brought in a special prosecutor because someone from the prosecutor's office was actually on the bus. So they're a witness. So that was that on that. But yeah, strange case. I feel like it's a little bit similar. It's got some similarities, put it that way, but no federal charges at this point. So anywho, we'll come back. If you can believe it, there was another very strange case. The guy who was wearing the white guy mask, who is suspected to have killed 2 people. He was getting ready to kill a third in LA. That was so strange. A couple of really strange crimes going on. Also, let me tell you guys about this. There's a very bad, bitter divorce going on here in Charlotte right now. A former Carolina Panther, he's retired, but his wife, soon to be ex-wife, they're in the middle of this really, really bitter divorce. She walks into who she says is someone who's having an affair. Hold on a second, let me pull it up. Went in, I think the lady's a chiropractor, went into the chiropractor office, attacked her while she was in the room with a patient. And I was like, oh my God. Hold on a second, guys. She just got arrested. I was like, what is going on? Hold on. Kelly Davis explains why she confronted her husband's alleged mistress. So she is, you know how they say WAG? She's a wife of the estranged wife of former Carolina Panther player Thomas Davis was arrested a few days ago for allegedly assaulting a woman in Charlotte. August 26th, Davis faces 1 count of misdemeanor assault and battery. Y'all, they going through it. Pray for us down here in Charlotte. It's a madhouse right now. Pray for us. We are seeing big city problems in our cute little boutique city. I don't know what is going on, y'all. But ma'am is not playing. A mess. You saw that yesterday, baby. You know I had to look up the lady. And then we haven't even talked about this yet. Romika Meeks and this whole situation that happened on Monday. I needed a day to kind of decompress on this one. This made me very sad. The mommy who dropped her son off and the foolishness with the baby daddy and the girlfriend. It's a lot going on. It's a lot, y'all. It really is. She took a beautiful mug shot. Isn't she giving? She's serving. Keep trying to mess with my husband. Go ahead. The funny thing is, though, I'm not going to lie to you, with the exception of some of these pictures that they have posted of her on Facebook, it's like her picture has been scrubbed. Y'all hadn't seen this, right? Some of y'all hadn't seen it. If you guys don't follow me on Facebook, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go ahead and follow me on Facebook. Usually a lot of stuff I'm tracking, if I'm seeing articles or whatever, I do dump stuff there on Patreon too, of course, but make sure to follow me on Facebook, y'all. And then I broadcast on there too, but these lives go away after 30 days. But if you want to see some of the things I might be tracking, did I? Oh yeah. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. This is, if you want to hear this again, it's right here.
So you said something in your body did what?
Nah, the material, put it like this, the material using my body is stab related.
He said the material in my body is Fed related.
And so she just got stabbed.
Yeah. You know that's not me. I'm talking about just for no reason. But since they did that, now they got to investigate the material my body is exposed to. Since they want to do all that, now they got to investigate.
It's funny because she's from the Ukraine. She's from Russia, and you know they got a war. They had a war going on against the United States. So I'm just trying to understand, out of all people, why her?
That's hey, it ain't. I don't have nothing. They just lashed out on her.
So the voices in his head, probably.
That's what happened.
Girl, a mess. Okay. Y'all, let me let you guys go. We'll come back and talk about this other one. Y'all. Okay. Set your notifications, and I want to talk to you guys about this other situation that happened. Very, very strange. Okay. A serial killer variety. Okay. I'm going to shut this one down. We'll just keep it all DeCarlos, and then I'm going to come back and we'll talk about this other one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Make sure to hit the thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Okay. Bye, guys.